Pastor Zillinger's Daily Devotions.
The lessons for St. Peter and St. Paul Sunday. Psalm 46, verse 6. The nations rage, the kingdoms totter. He utters his voice, the earth melts. Talking about the Lord's anger, talking about what he does against the nations. The nations cannot stand up under him. Also, too, about the Lord's word. When the Lord utters his voice, his word, it does things. Now, be aware of this. In anger, when he says something, it actually happens. It's destroyed. It's taken apart. When he gives a promise, to bank on that promise. And so to think about this is that the nations don't mean anything. The Lord is in control of it all. Acts 15:12. And all the assembly fell silent, and they listened to Barnabas and Paul as they related what signs and wonders God had done through them among the Gentiles. Barnabas and Paul go out on missionary journeys, and people start seeing the Lord in their words and in their actions. Now, this is interesting. In the apostolic era, that's when the apostles were still around. They had some abilities. They were witnesses, eyewitnesses of Jesus' ministry and his death and resurrection. And then also, they had some supernatural powers or signs and wonders to let people know that this message is true. And this was given to the apostles, not so much to all Christians. A lot of times all Christians want to apply this and go, well, I can do this kind of charismatic, enthusiastic miracles. Now, miracles do happen for what God has, but it's not that so prevalent as in the apostolic era, which really closes down when John the apostle, the last apostle, dies in around 90 AD-ish. And so just to be aware that Barnabas and Paul are going out doing the Lord's work, and people are seeing signs and wonders, and this is a specific job for them to do. Galatians 2:9. When James and Cephas and John, who seemed to be pillars, perceived the grace that was given to me, they gave the right hand of fellowship to Barnabas and me, that we should go to the Gentiles, and they the circumcised. So we have the apostles. We have James, Cephas, and John. So this is important. This is the early church. And they are the pillars of the church. So people are coming to them and saying, okay, you're the leaders. Tell us how we should practice. What should we do? What is Jesus? What did he say? This is a proto-gospel, because the gospels are coming and being in written form and being spread out too. So they don't have it written down as much, but they do have the letters of the apostles, and they do have the apostles themselves. And so Paul goes, and this is interesting, is that Paul and Barnabas go and say, can we have your stamp of approval? I think this is interesting in our day and age. There's a lot of people who are claiming to be Christian, or who are maybe immature Christians that want to go out and preach, and they want to go out and teach, they want to go out and do these things as a representative of the church, but they don't go to people who are knowledgeable, or they don't go back to the church themselves and say, can we have permission? Can we be in the same line? Are we all speaking the same thing? They're just doing their own things. And so in today's day and age, especially among Lutherans, we say, are they well educated? That they go to seminary? And are they under confession? Are they saying, this is my confession, this is what I'll preach and I'll teach? And if they're not, then maybe ignore them. Sometimes they're charlatans. Sometimes they're just very, very immature. Even though it might seem that they're older or they speak real well, they don't know the Bible and they don't know the doctrines of the church well. Matthew 16:18. And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. This passage sometimes is given a lot of hay in the Roman Catholic Church to say Peter is the Pope and everything Peter says is good. Well, first off, Peter is the Bishop of Rome, and he does amazing things, but only when he follows what God's word is. Because we know that Peter and Paul have some interesting debates and problems because they start separating over the circumcision party and what's going on. We're saying you have to do something in order to be saved. That's a work, as opposed to God gives us grace and now we're changed by it. That's grace. And so Peter and Paul even had this thing. And so what it is, again, is it's not about the authority of the person. It's about the authority that's given to the person from the greater one, by Jesus Christ and his word. And so if it all follows God's word, great. If it doesn't follow God's word, then you have to say, I'm sorry, you're only doing it on your personal authority, and it's not following what God says. We will follow what God says rather than what men say.
The Lord bless your day as well as your week.